Okay, in this section of the video I will be making the cover of my design. It will be made out of brown paper, recycled paper, and it will slip over the potato starch plastic where the meat is held. Okay, so here you can see I just started with a brown square. And here you can see right above it I've added the middle bit. And here you can see I've added the second face, so this face will be the bit that's on the front and all of the text will be shown there. And here for the cover you can see I have added the second side. Okay, so here you can see that I added the flap, so when this is all folded over on those lines, you'll be able, that little flap bit will come at the back and it will hold it all in place. And the reason why it has little bits off the edges is it makes it a lot easier to fold things in place as things don't quite collide as much. And then here you can see that I've connected it a little bit more because in the last picture it wasn't quite on the top properly. So here you can see I've forgotten to take a picture for a couple of steps, so you can see that I've added the flowers in. And they look very nice, and I've added the text in. I figured out the text a little bit, and the bottom text that's less bold is over the flowers, which is supposed to be like that, and it makes it feel kind of childish. And later on you'll see that I add a filter over the flowers to make them look more drawn, but it doesn't quite work properly. Okay, here you see that I've finished it and I've done the front bit, and and the flowers are all done and they're looking great, and I'm yet to do the other bits of the design. So in this colour you see that I've discovered that I can change the transparency. So what I've done here is I've lightened the colour so that it looks more like recycled paper, and it looks, you know, more like it should. And because the problem was it was way too dark and I couldn't find a way to fix it, so then I changed the opacity, I believe it is, or the transparency, and that's how I got that colour. Okay, so what's happening here is I'm trying to find a barcode off the internet. In the end I actually did not use this barcode. I just decided, because I couldn't get one with a clear background, that I was going to make my own, so I got a load of lines and I put them all up and I put a couple of numbers underneath. So this picture is when I was looking around and I just put the cooking instructions on, and I was just kind of sort of getting it to work, but it took me a really long time, and that was with the original barcode, and the font I was having issues with, and that was why at the end product, if you have a look at it, there's a bit that got cut off because of my issues with the font, and two sizes are different, and it's a very odd thing that I was working on. So this is actually a picture of one of the barcodes I was trying to work with. I was trying to erase between the edges, but I couldn't quite get it to erase properly, and it turned into a whole thing, and it was very difficult, and it didn't quite work. Okay, so here's the barcode that I made. It's a little bit wonky, but it's pretty decent, and it's got all the different pieces all pieced together. And full disclosure, some of these pictures I did not actually take while I was making it, because I was doing it in my lunch break on Wednesday, and I've been incredibly busy this week, so my apologies for that. Some of these pictures were taken afterwards, but I will explain what happened in between. I'm very sorry, but unfortunately I've been very busy. Okay, so I added a little bit of a food marker. I'm sorry it's quite blurry in this picture, but you can see it's a pretty healthy thing, and I thought I needed to add it because this product is quite healthy and quite good for you, and it's important to convey that. So afterwards, when I had a little bit of time on my hand, you see these flowers? The white bits is because I tried to make them kind of childish looking. This took me a really long time. And I put some filters on them, and that's the white space because I don't know how to remove that, and I was very short on time, and that's what happened there. So here you see I added a little Four Burgers sign and kind of odd funky text. That's because I really wanted a kind of funky feeling to it, different, you know, kind of more modern. I want to have different text in there so it catches your eye, and that's what happened there. So here I had some white space, so I put in environmentally friendly because I want my consumer to know that this product's environmentally friendly. This is actually not on the printed version I have right now, but that's because it was added after I had the issue with the cut-off on the side. So this is the final cover. I am very proud of it. It took me a really long time, and I really like it, and hopefully on Tuesday I will be making the one that's proper, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Okay, so now the cover's done, I'm starting on the box. This is where I don't actually have the pictures. I am very sorry, please don't mark me down, but I was So what I decided to do was I kind of rebuilt it and show you how I did it, and I will explain what happened along the way. Okay, so this is the box. This basically shows this, and I already knew about the transparency by there, and I made it quite see-through so that people could see that this, you would be able to see through it. Unfortunately in paper it doesn't quite come through, but it's quite a faint colour, which is quite nice because this is supposed to be kind of see-through and kind of murky, because when people see murky things they often think, oh, that looks kind of sustainable, because we're trained to think that it shouldn't be like clear if it's biological or safe for the environment. Here I've added the side panel to it. Here I've added the other big face to it. It is almost, it's a copy paste of the other ones, they're exactly the same size, which I did on purpose. Here I copy pasted the middle side, so I copy pasted the bit in the middle of the two bits and put it on the end. Here I added the flapping, and I used rounded corners by just making a rectangle and then using the eraser to get rid of the edges, and then the edges were automatically sharpened, which was actually very efficient because it let me get these really great shapes that would work really well when I put them together, and they worked. I did have to chop a little bit off on the sides though. So here I had the third side in. It's a little bit overlapped, but there was a grid snapping thing that I couldn't quite fix, and I didn't really have time to fix it at the time. Okay, so I got the flap on the other side, and I just pretty much copied and pasted it and then resized it a bit using the side panel. So here I pick up the flaps and they overlap a little bit, which comes in a problem later, and I again just copy and paste, and using my measurements I just resize them. So here you can see I pretty much got the top bit so that they would fit perfectly, and I pretty much just copied and pasted it and turned it all around while it was all locked, which worked very well. There was a couple of overlaps dealing with the snapping to grid, but I was pretty proud of it, and I should have just taken a little bit off more of the sides. So then it would be easier to fold my flaps. This is what I took when I was building it. They are all pictures, so some of them look like they repeat, but some of them are just the paper and the cardboard one, because I did the paper one first, so I would make my mistakes on that one. And I did make a couple of mistakes, and then I fixed them and I did the real one, and the real one is perfect and I like it. Okay, so these are, this is where I got it out. It's a bit crinkly because I had to put it in my bag because I thought I had to take it to school, but I didn't, so it got a bit crinkled, but I made sure when I folded it that it wasn't in the wrong places. So this is after I got it a bit smoothed out. So here, unfortunately I didn't take pictures for a while, so this is the final one. This is the paper one. You see it has a couple of bits that are sticking out, which I tried to avoid on the second one, which is why I did this one first. Okay, so this is the cardboard one after I'd done a little bit of chopping around the edges so that I could, bring the amount down so I could be more precise and less clumpy with my movements. So this is again after I've cut a little bit off the sides just because I want to have less to work with, so I usually just very roughly go around the edges, not round very close, usually about good 5 centimetres away, but often the paper gets a bit ripped, it's not pretty, but it helps me be able to manoeuvre my hand much more easily around the large bits of paper. So here again I've done some chopping. I've taken a large bit off of that corner there. So here I've chopped around the outside and it's neat and it's perfect, and you can see where it got cut off a little bit, but that was an issue, and when I do my presentation I will have the proper one all made and ready to go. So here I've cut the bottom bit off, and this was one of the last pictures you'll see of me cutting it. I cut it very neatly, and that one was quite difficult because there are two bits around it that I can't fold away, so I kind of have to fold it up and then cut it and then smooth it out later, and it's quite a difficult little thing to do. Okay, so this is after I cut it all out, and I did it very neatly and I took my time, which is why I didn't take too many pictures, because I didn't want to have to be cutting and then take my hand off and do everything. Okay, because I was concentrated I didn't take pictures for a while, but you can see I did the sides and I folded it, and I used my protractor to fold it because it has a really nice clean edge on it and it doesn't move. And then I did the fold and did them very nice and neat, and I made sure they were perfect, and yeah. Okay, so here you see there's an issue with the flap, and you can see it's a bit folded because I was really struggling to get that in, and this was before I took a little snip off the edge, which works absolutely amazingly because it makes it go in more smoothly, and there was no problem with it fitting, it was a problem with colliding with the other parts that needed to be in there. Okay, so this is a side shot of the exact same issue. You see that it was struggling to get in. This is the other side where I took some off at the beginning and it worked amazingly. The other side isn't bent at all, and it looks very lovely. Okay, so here I took a little bit off the side because here I was really struggling to get it all. I was trying to get the sides in and they kept colliding and collapsing, and it was really difficult, and I was getting frustrated and my hands were sticky, and so I just had to snip a little bit off the flap so that it would go in, and then once I did that and I was calm and collected and I did it properly, it worked wonders. It was perfect. Okay, so this is the final one, and amazingly, I was a bit worried about the top, the slide not fitting on, but it fits on perfectly and I'm very proud of it, and it fits on nice and snugly so it holds on, but it doesn't look like it's going to fall off anytime soon, so I'm very proud of it. Yes. Okay, so this section is just going to be about the photography, and it will have a short time lapse about how I made it. Sorry if my back is blocking the entire thing the entire time, I did not realise that. I should have put it closer to me, but I didn't see that before. And I have a couple of videos about how I made it, and I have a tripod, and it's the first video I'm doing. I'm about to start my shoot. I've got a bit of natural light from the side, it's coming onto here. I might try changing it. I've got my fancy camera here. I will probably find a tripod. I'm going to put it in a couple of different positions. I've got my camera bag here. I need to get the tripod. I have another one in case I want to show the front and the back. Yeah, so I am very excited for this. And it is a very nice day.